Have you ever stopped to wonder, what is this I that is experiencing the world? This feeling of being you, right here, right now, hearing these words. It is perhaps the greatest mystery of all time. We call it consciousness. It is the silent, invisible stage upon which the drama of your life unfolds. It's the taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your skin, and the love you feel for your family. It is so close to us, so intimate, that we often overlook it. Yet when we try to grasp it, to define it, it seems to slip through our fingers like fine sand. It is the one thing we know for sure exists, yet the hardest thing to explain. This profound question, what am I, has echoed through the halls of science and the quiet temples of ancient wisdom for thousands of years. It connects us all, from the earliest humans gazing at the stars to the modern neuroscientist looking at a brain scan. It is a question that doesn't just ask about our biology, but about our very essence. Are we simply a complex arrangement of atoms, a biological machine that has somehow learned to think? Or are we something more, a spark of a greater fire, a drop in a cosmic ocean? The search for this answer is not just an intellectual exercise, it is a deeply personal journey into the heart of what it means to be alive. The mystery deepens when we consider what scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. This was a term coined by the philosopher David Chalmers. The easy problems, he said, are about how the brain processes information, how it focuses attention, or how it controls behavior. We can study these things, map them, and understand their mechanics. But the hard problem is different. It asks, why do we have subjective experience at all? Why does all that electrical and chemical activity in our brain feel like something? Why is there a first person in a movie playing inside our heads? Science can describe the mechanics of a symphony, but it can't quite explain the beauty of the music itself. And so, we stand at a fascinating crossroads, a place where different paths of inquiry meet. On one side, we have the methodical, evidence-based approach of science, which seeks to understand consciousness by studying the brain. It uses incredible tools to peek inside our skulls and watch the dance of neurons. On the other side, we have the ancient spiritual traditions, like those captured in the Indian Upanishads, which explored consciousness through deep meditation and introspection. They looked inward, not outward, for their answers. Both are valid journeys, two different languages trying to describe the same ineffable reality. The beauty is not just in finding an answer, but in embracing the profound wonder of the question itself. Modern science approaches the mystery of consciousness with incredible tools and fascinating theories. Scientists believe that our subjective experience arises from the brain, a 3-pound universe of nearly 100 billion neurons. Each neuron is like a single musician in a grand orchestra. When they fire together in complex, synchronized patterns, they create the symphony of our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Using technologies like fMRI and EEG scans, researchers can watch this symphony in real time. They see certain brain regions, like the prefrontal cortex and the thalamus, light up when we are awake and aware, creating a network that seems to be the headquarters of our conscious experience. Two leading scientific ideas try to explain how this neural music becomes our reality. The first is called the global workspace theory. Imagine your mind is a theater. Most of the brain's activity happens backstage, in the dark, completely unconscious. But when a piece of information is important enough, it gets broadcast onto the brightly lit stage of the global workspace. This stage is your conscious awareness. It allows different parts of your brain, memory, emotion, planning, to all access and work with that same piece of information. Consciousness, in this view, is a spotlight that makes information globally available to the entire system, allowing us to react and make decisions. Another powerful idea is the integrated information theory, or IIT. This theory suggests that consciousness is a measure of a system's complexity and integration. Think of it like this. A simple system, like a thermostat, has very little information. It's either on or off. A digital camera has a lot of information, millions of pixels, but they aren't connected or integrated in a meaningful way. The brain, however, is both incredibly complex and deeply interconnected. IUT proposes that consciousness is what happens when a massive amount of information is woven together into a single, unified whole. The more integrated the information, the more conscious the system is. Despite these brilliant theories, science remains humbled by the hard problem. We can see the correlations. When this part of the brain is active, a person feels joy. But we cannot yet explain the causation. How does the physical activity create the subjective feeling? It's what the scientist Christoph Koch calls the search for the footprints of consciousness. We can see where it has been. We can see the shadows it casts in the brain's machinery, but the thing itself remains elusive. Science is mapping the riverbed with incredible precision, but the water of experience continues to flow, mysterious and profound. Long before brain scanners and complex theories, ancient sages in India explored consciousness in a very different way. They sat in silence and looked within. Their profound insights are recorded in the Upanishads, sacred texts that form the philosophical heart of Hinduism. For these thinkers, consciousness was not something the brain produces. Instead, it is the fundamental reality of the entire universe. They taught that our individual self, the feeling of I, is a reflection of a much greater, universal consciousness. This inner true self is called Atman. It is described as the silent, unchanging witness behind all of our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. The Upanishads declare in a famous saying, Tat Tvam Asi, which means you are that. The you is Atman, your individual consciousness. The that is Brahman, the ultimate universal consciousness that is the source of all existence. Imagine the air inside a clay pot. It seems separate, contained. But when the pot breaks, the air inside simply merges with the vast expanse of air outside. The sages taught that our bodies and minds are like that clay pot. We feel separate, but our true nature, our Atman, is and always was one with the universal Brahman. Consciousness is not in you. You are in consciousness. So why do we feel so separate and disconnected from this universal source? The Upanishads explain this with the concept of Maya. Maya does not mean the world is not real. It means our perception of it is an illusion, like a mirage in the desert. We see a world of separate objects, people and events, but this is a projection of our minds. We get lost in the story, the drama of our individual lives, and forget that we are the screen upon which the movie is playing. Maya is the veil of illusion that makes the one, undivided Brahman appear as the many. Breaking free from Maya is the path to enlightenment, to realizing our true nature. To experience this reality directly, the sages described 4 states of consciousness. We all know the first 3, waking, dreaming, and deep dreamless sleep. But they spoke of a 4th state called Turiya. This is not a state you enter and leave, but the pure, silent awareness that underlies the other 3. It is the Atman, the witness, in its pure form. It is the silence between 2 notes of music, the empty sky in which clouds drift by. The Upanishads suggest that through meditation and self-inquiry, one can abide in Turiya and experience the profound peace and unity of being one with everything. It is the ultimate homecoming. When we place the scientific and the Upanishadic views side by side, they may seem like worlds apart. One uses external tools to study the physical brain, while the other uses internal tools to explore the nature of the mind. Science speaks of neurons, networks, and integrated information. The Upanishads speak of Atman, Brahman, and the veil of Maya. One is a language of objective measurement, the other a language of subjective experience. Yet, if we look closer, we see that these 2 great rivers of inquiry are flowing toward the same vast, mysterious sea. They are both grappling with the same fundamental questions about who we are and our place in the cosmos. Both traditions, in their own way, recognize that our everyday perception of reality is limited. Science's global workspace theory suggests that most of our mental processing is unconscious, happening backstage. This echoes the Upanishadic idea of Maya, the illusion that what we see and experience is the whole story. Both point to a reality deeper than what appears on the surface. Similarly, scientists studying states of consciousness through meditation or psychedelics are observing brain patterns that correspond to feelings of unity and interconnectedness, experiences the ancient sages described as merging with Brahman. They are finding the footprints of these profound states. The differences between them are not contradictions, but complements. Science provides the how, and spirituality provides the why and the what it feels like. Science can map the brain activity of a meditating monk, showing how their prefrontal cortex quiets down. The monk can describe the experience of Turiya, the boundless peace that follows. One gives us the blueprint of the house, the other tells us what it feels like to be home. As Albert Einstein wisely said, "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." Each gives the other depth and perspective, preventing us from getting lost in either pure materialism or baseless belief. Ultimately, the exploration of consciousness is not just for scientists in labs or sages in caves. It is a personal invitation to you. The insights from both science and spirituality encourage us to pay closer attention to our own inner world. They ask us to be curious about our thoughts, to notice the quiet space between them, and to wonder at the simple, miraculous fact of our own awareness. Whether you see yourself as a complex biological machine or a drop in the cosmic ocean, the journey of self-discovery is the most profound adventure you can ever take. The question, "What am I?" is not one to be answered, but one to be lived.